All right, let's jump right in. We're about to tackle one of the biggest questions there is. Where does meaning actually come from? Is it something that's already out there in the universe, just waiting for us to find it? Or is it something we cook up entirely inside our own heads? We're going to play detective and see if we can crack this case.
So this is the core mystery, right? It really boils down to two completely different ways of seeing everything. On one side, you've got the idea that the universe has some kind of built-in purpose, and our job is to discover it. And on the other side, you've got the idea that the universe is just silent. It couldn't care less, and any meaning we feel is something we invented.
Let's lay out the two main suspects. In this corner, you've got team found in the world. These guys believe meaning is an objective truth out there, like gravity. We don't invent it, we just find it. But in the other corner, you have team made in the brain. For them, the universe is basically a blank canvas. It provides the atoms, sure, but we're the ones painting the picture, giving it all significance.
Okay, so where do we even start with a question this big? Well, let's call in the original detectives of the mind, the philosophers. They've been debating this for centuries, so let's see what kind of evidence they've turned up.
First up, we've got Albert Camus, and his take is pretty intense. He looked at the universe and called it absurd. Basically, it's chaotic and random, and it's not giving us any answers. So for Camus, finding meaning isn't about looking for clues in the cosmos. No, it's an act of pure rebellion. It's about looking that cosmic indifference right in the eye and choosing to live with passion anyway. We create the meaning by defying the meaninglessness.
Now, Bertrand Russell is on a similar page, but he comes at it from a more, analytical angle. He saw the universe as just stuff happening, impersonal physical forces, no grand plan. But he said, so what? That doesn't mean we're doomed. We have our own amazing tools, like logic and language and our values, to build a meaningful world for ourselves. Meaning is a human project, not a cosmic one.
And these guys are not alone, not by a long shot. You've got Sartre, who famously said we are condemned to be free, which basically means we have no choice but to invent our own purpose. Then there's Nietzsche, who saw creating meaning as the ultimate expression of power. Even Hume chimed in, suggesting that what we call meaning is really just a strong psychological habit. So for the philosophers in this camp, the verdict is pretty clear. It comes from us.
Okay, so that's the philosopher's take. It's compelling stuff, but let's switch gears. Let's move from the courtroom of ideas to the modern neuroscience lab. If meaning is made in the brain, how in the world does that actually work? Let's look at the biological evidence.
So, one of the leading theories right now is something called predictive processing. And here's the core idea. Your brain isn't a passive sponge just soaking up the world. Not at all. It's an active, relentless prediction engine. It's constantly guessing what's about to happen and what everything means, all based on your past experiences. The meaning you feel, that's the story your brain is telling itself to make its predictions match reality.
So how does this machine actually run? You can think of it as a four-step process. First, your senses pull in raw data, light, sound, you name it. Second, your brain instantly searches its entire history to make a best guess about what that data means. Step 3 is the secret sauce. It adds an emotional tag. Is this good for me? Is it dangerous? Is it important? And finally, step 4, it weaves all that together into a story. And that story, that's what you experience as meaning.
But wait a minute, how can we be sure the brain is really the one creating the meaning and not just, interpreting something that's already there? To prove it, we need to isolate the suspect. And for that, we're going to call a key witness to the stand, our dreams.
Seriously, just think about it for a second. When you're dreaming, the outside world is gone. There's no sensory input. It's just your brain, locked in a room by itself, running its own show. And yet, our dreams are absolutely overflowing with rich, symbolic, and sometimes deeply profound meaning. This is our brain caught red-handed, creating entire worlds of meaning from scratch. It's proof that it has all the machinery it needs.
And this comparison really drives the point home. Look at the difference. When we're awake, meaning is usually tied to external reality. If you lose your keys, it means you can't start your car. It's a practical problem. But in a dream, that lost key could suddenly represent a lost identity, a missed opportunity, or a deep-seated fear. The meaning is generated purely from your internal, emotional state. The fact our brains can do this shows just how powerful their creative capacity really is.
Okay, so we've heard the arguments from the philosophers. We've examined the forensic data from neuroscience, especially from our dreams. It seems like both sides have some pretty strong evidence. So what's the final verdict? It's time to put all the pieces together and solve this thing.
And it turns out, this was never really an either-or case. It's a partnership.
The universe isn't a meaningless void, but it's also not a finished story. The world provides the raw materials, the patterns, the laws of physics, the cause and effect relationships. But those materials are just there. It's our brain that provides the crucial second half, the interpretation, the significance, the value, and ultimately, the purpose.
Which leads us to our final conclusion. The answer isn't that meaning is found or that it's made. Meaning is co-emergent. It's not a thing, it's a process. It arises from the constant, dynamic interaction, you could even call it a dance, between the patterns of the world and the interpretive machine in your head.
So, if meaning isn't a destination you have to search for or a fiction you just have to invent, but instead it's this ongoing dance between you and the universe, well, that leaves us with a pretty powerful final thought. The music is playing. So what kind of dance are you going to create?